Welcome back to another Webinar Wednesday hosted by Marketing 360. My name is Seth Burney, and I'm really excited to be here today. I do have a very special guest with me. We're going to be going over how to grow your customer base through social media, and this guy is probably the best person in our company to talk about it. His name is Brandon Lilly. How you doing today?
Pretty good, Seth. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for asking. Now, we are live on YouTube. We're also live on Facebook. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave a comment in there. We are going to be going through there periodically, hopefully answering some questions on both of those platforms. So go ahead and leave a comment. If you are watching this after our live presentation as well, please leave a comment. We will get back to those questions as well as we continually view these videos. So today, Brandon, we're really just going to jump right into it. We're going to be talking about some of the major social media platforms, especially for small businesses that A, if they're not on, they need to get there, and B, how to kind of utilize them to best get as many customers, as many followers, engagement, and reach as possible. So the first one that we're going to talk about today is the biggest of all, Facebook. So right now, 79% of Americans use Facebook, and the platform, the second closest user percentage-wise is actually Instagram at 32%. So it's a huge number. This is telling us that A, if you're not on Facebook, you need to get there, and B, if you're not active, you need to start producing some information to get in front of these new consumers. Now, when we're talking about social media, the reason it's so important for your small businesses to be there is it's where your consumers are right now. So 57% of consumers actually say social media influences their shopping habits. So whether that's actually making a purchase decision or not even knowing that they were in the marketplace to buy something, social media helps influences them towards that. And then an interesting trend here as well is videos on Facebook are actually getting the most engagement, even though they only make up about 3% of that total content. And a note on that, 85% of Facebook users watch videos without sound. So what we kind of have here is a couple topics or tips, for you guys to look at when we're talking about Facebook. So number one, it's where your customers are, and it's where they are multiple times a day. That user percentage graph on that last page showing Facebook at the top, Instagram second, and a couple other social platforms there. They are coming back every couple hours, maybe a couple times a day to check out what's happening in their local area. So you need to get a good professional presence there. They're also engaging with video content more on a daily basis, even with that lack of sound. So I think that that's really an interesting thing, Brandon. A lot of people are putting a big emphasis into video going into 2018, and they think that, hey, we need to get a professional crew in here. We need to get everything, looking proper, looking great, and produce these videos. But it kind of seems like anybody can produce these videos as long as they have a cell phone and they can just put some text up on a screen for their consumers to view. Would you say that's accurate?
That's absolutely accurate. One of the biggest pushes is for user-generated content. So yeah, it's nice to have a really powerful and really professional, polished kind of video. But to an extent, social media has always been about piercing the corporate curtain, as it were, kind of offering up that the human side of a business. So by having good professional videos on there, you show that you're dedicated and you show that you're really trying to work towards having a professional image. But people also want to see behind the corporate veil. So having the sneak peeks or the user-generated content, either by employees or, as you had originally mentioned, just a video taken on an iPhone, those play really well on social media simply because people are able to see past that, and it adds a human element to your company.
Perfect. And I think that when you're going to be creating some of these videos, really think about the social platform that you're going to be creating for, right? When you're putting these. So if you're going to be creating a Facebook video, make sure that you have content or even animation up on the page so people can understand what's happening on that video while they're digesting it right there in their news feed. And a quick tip here, try to create 10 to 30 seconds, primarily graphics, images, animation, put the text in there. That's going to be huge and important. But these videos for Facebook are more on the side of explainer videos. And Brandon, for explainer videos, for a lot of these small business owners, can you explain ultimately what are you trying to accomplish with an explainer video?
Exactly what it is in the name. You're trying to explain something. So for a lot of people, you can utilize that as something as quick tips, or we like to call it snackable content. It's something you don't have to sit down and prepare yourself for a 30, 40, 50-minute long webinar or training session or anything like that. This is snackable, bite-sized little chunks of information and data that you can easily digest. So a lot of people are going to be able to use videos like that to increase their engagement on social media. They're going to be able to increase their own thought leadership, especially if it's a topic or maybe an industry that's not as well known or requires some training. There's all sorts of different things you can do with videos like that.
Great. And then talking about kind of that user generated content and getting that engagement out there, what would you say the importance of getting back to these consumers' questions on a quick basis? How important is that for these small business owners? Do you think they should have a dedicated person following all of these?
If you can have a dedicated person, you absolutely should. It's very valuable simply because you may not have the time, but a quick response and fast response time is incredibly important, not just from a consumer standpoint either. Like, yes, I want an answer to my question and I want it right now. Mm-hmm. But from an algorithm standpoint for Facebook or Instagram or any of these others, the faster you respond, the better the algorithm is going to treat your content. So Facebook's never going to show a bunch of videos that you never respond to questions or comments or engage in any way. There's no value there. Social media is all about engagement. So if you aren't engaging with your customers on content you have generated, you're going to receive a bit of a penalty for that. So absolutely, if you don't have the time to do it, you need to find someone who does.
Perfect. And you kind of mentioned it there. On Facebook, they actually rate your business on response time. And I believe it's within the first 60 minutes. They actually rate how fast you got back to those questions or comments or messages. So it is going to be important. Jump on that. I think that's a couple great tips to think about Facebook as you are going into 2018 for these small businesses. Videos are going to be huge. So you need to make sure that they're digestible videos for the platform you're going to be able to create. 85% don't use sound, so make sure you're getting text in there. The next one, we're going to jump over and talk about Instagram here, which is really kind of an image first, right? A lot of people think of Instagram as kind of getting a professional brand out there, make sure everything looks great. And, this is one that I would agree 100% on with everyone saying that. You need to be posting professional images. Make sure if you're going to be putting content out there, quotes are pretty good, but the highlight of Instagram is going to be the imagery. And an interesting statistic here is 80% of users actually follow at least one business on Instagram. And a lot of consumers are starting to utilize Instagram for the hashtags, right? They're starting to find things near them or interest that they're looking for. And this is a great opportunity to get your brand in front of new opportunities or new consumers while they're searching right there through the native platform. And one tip for the business owner is posts that have location actually on the image that they post or the Insta post has 79% more engagement. So make sure you have the location tag. So when people are searching on Instagram or just looking around, they know that your business is close to them. And then also Instagram photos generate 36% more engagement than videos. So on the flip side of Facebook, right, this is something that we need to look at and say, okay, it might not do us a lot of good to create a video that we're going to post both on Facebook and on Instagram. Maybe we should just focus on Facebook right away, get that video done, get some good imagery from that, and then post that over onto our Instagram page. And then talking about branding, you already mentioned it, but user-generated content is huge right now. And what we see is posts that have UGC on them. So user-generated content has actually 4.5% higher conversion rates, right? So we're talking about if there's a product or service that you're promoting through Instagram, make sure that you're getting your own consumers to either write posts or comment on those posts, or even post it themselves, right? Post it themselves and tag your company in there. Jumping into the quick tips right here. Again, we talked about it. Do you have the accounts and are they professionally branded? So I think that that's huge. Make sure you have good imagery. Your logo looks good. Your branding is good. And then are you utilizing the hashtags and locations for each of your posts that you're getting out there? Brandon, what are other some, I guess, quick tips or quick ideas just from you creating Instagram accounts and kind of overwatching them? How do you actually get more engagement, through these posts?
Absolutely. So Instagram, like you had said, it's all about the high professional pictures. And I'm going to make a blanket statement here, and this covers all social media. Add value to your network. That's really, at the end of the day, that's the biggest tip that I could possibly give you. Add value to the network. If you are adding content or pictures or videos or things like that you wouldn't want to see on your feed, you wouldn't want to see interrupting conversations between friends and family and people that you're following, don't post it. Really, the end goal here is to create some thought leadership, create some engagement between you and your constituents, your consumers, new customers, previous customers, potential customers. So you have to add value. Now, sometimes that value can come in conversations that are had on your posts. So obviously there's an engagement level there, right? But you have to start that conversation. So you have to start with high value content that encourages interaction and engagement.
Yeah.
Now, that's going to change based on your industry, right? It's going to change based on the type of customer that you're going after. But at the end of the day, the root of everything that you're trying to do is just add value to your network.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a couple great points there. And, within our tips here as well, we talked about get that professional imagery and make sure that you're going to get good information that your consumers are going to want to consume. And then a tip here talking about video, right? They get less engagement. However, Instagram stories gives you a unique place to actually put native content within your Instagram page. So when you actually do an Instagram story, take a little bit of time, create a good 15-second story. You can use video, you can use high editing software, format it for Instagram. But once you post that, make it a highlighted post. And that highlighted post is actually going to sit there on your business page. So anybody who comes to your page, maybe they liked one of your images that you posted, or they liked a quote that you put out there, they're going to see that good, high quality story right there that they can digest. So even if they're not going to use it on their news feed while they're scrolling through, I think utilizing that for your Instagram is going to be big. Jumping over to LinkedIn here, Brandon, if you didn't have anything else to add to that, and jump in and cut me off if you do. Also, I do want to let everybody know in the comments on YouTube and Facebook, there is a URL that has all of this presentation as well. So you can follow along with us, or you can utilize it, click it, view it at a later time to digest it. So click that URL, follow along with us. We're going to jump into LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is generally known as a B2B platform, but it really is starting to move more towards the B2C opportunities. LinkedIn is really seeing a big new growth in native video creation. So there's a big push right now on LinkedIn for video creation, and talking about it earlier, but going to just the mobile phones, right? You flip out your mobile phone, you say what you need to say in a minute to 2 minutes, and you get good quality information out there in front of users. And then over time, people are going to see that information, and they're going to start recognizing you as an industry resource and a leading resource. So utilize that for LinkedIn. A tip here, both text and video are getting good engagement, right? So try and do a little bit of both. Make sure you're getting some good video content out there, but make sure you're still following up with regular content posts and articles. People are still really digesting that. And then lastly, you really need to start thinking about LinkedIn as personal first and business second. Now, a lot of times with social platforms, we're thinking from the small business perspective, that's a little bit backwards, right? But from LinkedIn, the way to really utilize LinkedIn to its full potential, the personal features, you have more opportunities than you do from a business perspective. So look at yourself as a thought leader in your space, get good, relevant, fresh content out there in front of your consumers and the people that you're engaging with. And then that's going to trickle down. And then you can start linking your company bio. You can start linking all of your LinkedIn company information to the posts that you're doing. So you're starting to get trends and followers and everything for your business. But really think personal first and then business secondary on that. And a couple tips on LinkedIn, why we think that it's a really good platform for business owners to jump on. It's where business professionals are, right? So if that is your ideal target market, this is the platform you need to be on, and you need to start looking as being a thought leader in your space. Video is really gaining momentum, so you need to get out there. You need to start posting. Yes, there are a couple bugs in it, like trying to link your own business page in a native video that you uploaded is a little bit difficult right now, but they're going to figure that out. So I think that that's two good tips there, right? You need to get where your business professionals are, and you need to get native video information up there. Brandon, I'm kind of curious to know from your perspective how some of our small business owners have been able to utilize LinkedIn to kind of grow their following and even get those conversions, right? Those sales.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're exactly right. LinkedIn is where the professionals are, but you kind of have to treat people like they're still people, right? So yes, just because this is a B2B connection or a B2B type of network, that doesn't mean that everybody on there is always in the business mindset, that that's the only thing on their mind. Great. So you're exactly right when you're talking about how this is also, there's still some opportunity here for a B2C aspect. You're right. Just because I'm at work doing something and I'm researching through my network or asking questions or anything like that, doesn't mean I don't have that thing in the back of my mind, or I'm like, oh, that's right, I need the pest control guy, or I need someone to fix my car. That's still there, right? Yep. So you have to craft your message, and that's going to be the most important thing that you can do here is understand who you're trying to target and how you're trying to target them. Being a thought leader on LinkedIn is incredibly important. This isn't just about the business. This is about what you bring to other businesses. So your content, your concepts, your blogs, your sharing, adding value to the network, right? Mm-hmm. So LinkedIn is not the place for personal opinions. It's not the place for just kind of flying off the handle about different things that you have an opinion on. This is a place for business professionals. This is a place for business professionals to learn and to engage with other professionals and maybe bring some ideas back to their business. It's like a 24-hour trade show that's going on all the time. So if you're adding value and you're adding high quality content to that, then you're starting to get that engagement from other businesses. And a lot of times, if you've crafted your message correctly and you've focused in on it, you are able to engage with business owners or business leaders that are actually potential customers. Mm-hmm. And that's the primary goal here. If you're able to connect with customers because you're adding value to their network and you're adding value at a place that they are comfortable and they're doing business, LinkedIn is essentially a golf course. Business is done on LinkedIn, but only if you add value.
Absolutely. Great points there. And to just add a little bit to Brandon, a couple points to round off LinkedIn is because the video is so new, right? And people are starting to adopt it. You can really hit the ground floor as being a major influencer in your marketplace, right? So start creating some of that video, even if it is just on a cell phone. People really are digesting that, what we call raw content, right? You pull it out, you just talk to your camera. Maybe it's a minute, maybe it's 2 minutes, but you say what you need to say, you sign off, no logos, no branding, nothing like that. People are really digesting that. And then a pro tip here is make sure you're using the @mentions correctly and the hashtags correctly. So LinkedIn's making a push for you to be able to promote, mention different people within your posts. You can mention people in the comments, but you can also hashtag, and you can even create your own hashtags under your company bio. And then utilizing those hashtags, you can put those throughout. So people who are searching on LinkedIn can search hashtags just like they do on Instagram, and they can start finding thought leaders in their space. So I think that's great for LinkedIn. If you have any other questions on, any of those three platforms, hit us up. Marketing 360, we're happy to help you out. We're going to jump over here to Snapchat, Brandon. Now, Snapchat is one of those interesting social platforms that, they're trying to figure out their own identity right now, right? How do we make money off of this? We went public and we got to get advertisers on here. We need small businesses to thrive. And really, the metrics are kind of interesting, right? When you look at the stats, 45% of Snapchat users are ages between 18 to 24, and 71% of Snapchat users under 34 years old. 70% of those are female, right? So you have to have a very specific demographic that you're going after. And I'm curious to know, Brandon, what are some of those businesses that might be able to utilize Snapchat to the fullest?
So that's really going to depend. You're exactly right when you say that Snapchat is in its infancy. They don't really know who they are. Now we've got some details, some statistics here that show us who the primary user is, but we don't really know necessarily if these primary users are also primary customers. LinkedIn is actually going through the same thing where they're trying to identify how did they become a victim of their own success. How did they get such a valuable user base, and now that they do, how can they make a little bit of money on it? So Snapchat's doing that exact same thing. Now, what I found is that for Snapchat stories and utilizing geo filters and things like that, you generally have to be a business that is going to be utilized, or your primary customer is going to be the younger generations. If 45% of Snapchat users are under 24, they're still spending money, right? They're still engaging with companies. They're the next homeowners. They're the next. Yeah. They're the next buying or consumer generation, and they're the largest. So to an extent, I would say that just about any business can be valuable on Snapchat. You can find value there as long as that's something that these consumers will fit into as a customer. Now, if you don't have a problem selling a service or a product to somebody who's under 34 years old, Snapchat could have some real opportunity for you. The question is, what does that opportunity look like, and how do you take advantage of it? Well,
absolutely.
Much like LinkedIn, as you had mentioned, they're still kind of exploring LinkedIn. Video is becoming an opportunity on LinkedIn. It wasn't a year or two ago. Snapchat is the same thing. So this is a great opportunity, a great place for a business to come in and just try something new. No one's going to judge you for trying something. And there's a lot more risk in doing nothing than there is in testing something. So yeah. Snapchat can absolutely be an opportunity.
Couldn't agree with you more. And I think some interesting things that Snapchat's doing is the context cards and the geo filters. Mm-hmm. There is more information there. If you are on our link or you're following our presentation, in the comments section, click that link. Follow that URL right there. That actually takes you to an article talking about context cards and geo filters in more depth. And I think that that's going to be important for a lot of small businesses to jump on. So Brandy talked about it, know your ideal target market. Most brand exposure is going to be coming through customer sharing of the location, snapping your brand, utilizing those geo filters, and even that influencer market, right? And influencer marketing is something that's really trending right now, and a lot of people are trying to utilize it to its fullest. Snapchat is a great opportunity to try that out, explore, test it out, look at the metrics, see if that's going to work. And then also, if you're going to be utilizing Snapchat for your business, the younger demographics are really those ones that you can try out the new things that Brandon was talking about, right? So explore, test it out. We'll see what happens. You need to be utilizing geo filters, though, to its fullest. I think that the geo filter, when someone is at a location or at a place and maybe it's a pizza shop, right? And they want to share their experience. If you give them a filter that's already on their Snapchat that they can utilize and they post it, that's instantly 100 people, maybe, 1,000 people, depending on how they snap it, they could see your brand. And I think that if you utilize that to the fullest, it's definitely going to help you out. Brand, do you have any other ideas, topics for Snapchat users?
Yeah, to jump in on that, I know that there's some questions about utilizing geofilters from an ad standpoint as well. A couple of things that I've seen, and again, this is very local based. So if you don't really have a local location, this isn't going to work quite as well for you unless you're at a trade show or you have a physical location somewhere. But from a geofilter aspect, one of the things that I've seen is that you can actually add coupons or add incentives into the actual geofilter. Take a selfie with our geofilter, and it's like you had mentioned, it's $5 off a pizza. Mm-hmm. Go up to the front and or come in and show us your Snapchat, and you get $5 off. This was something that a lot of companies utilized when Pokemon Go came out. The app a year, 18 months ago. A lot of people actually utilized that along with geofilters to help drive people that were out and about and walking around, to drive them into a business that maybe they hadn't interacted with before. So incredibly valuable, and being able to utilize and change out your geofilters, maybe based on specials or different opportunities that you've got, and then also being able to take advantage of the weather, foot traffic, people that are just walking around. This is a good way to attract the younger generation into a store that maybe they wouldn't have gone into before or wouldn't have tested it out.
Perfect. I think that's really interesting. Some tips there for Snapchat. If you haven't got it all ready for your business, try out those context cards. Make sure that you're utilizing it to the fullest. Maybe invest in those geo filters. So, Brandon, let's jump over to Pinterest, right? Pinterest is really one of those platforms that a lot of businesses just don't know quite how do I utilize this, right, to its fullest potential. It is an image first, but it's also known as kind of a do-it-yourself platform, right? You're exploring and you're looking for new categories and new tips, tricks, DIY things. And an interesting thing I think is interesting is that millennials, 50% of US millennials use Pinterest every month, right? I didn't know that there was that big of a push for Pinterest in the millennial section. And 63% say Pinterest helps them discover new brands or products to buy. So it really is one of those underutilized platforms, I think, from business perspective. And talking about different categories, there definitely are some that work better than others. Food, decor, lifestyle, those are kind of those consumer categories that people are just utilizing to the fullest. But what other categories or what tips do you have for a business when setting up their Pinterest account to get the fullest out of it?
I would say that Pinterest is very much a how-to platform. It can be utilized across the board. You're exactly right when you say that food dominates Pinterest. So does fashion, and it is very photo first or very image heavy. But it's also a learning platform. It's a fantastic opportunity to kind of mix Instagram and its pictures and the content that you're providing within YouTube or blogs that you're writing or things like that. And you get to marry those together, which I find to be incredibly valuable. Yes, you've got the image, and then you link these people back to your site. Now, if you've set your site up and now you've got retargeting ads, and these are people that are now integrated in your marketing mix, and maybe they sign up for an email to get more content from you. This is a fantastic, fantastic opportunity for businesses to take advantage of, because there's so much there's so much value. There's so much possibility and opportunity here. Now, I've found Pinterest to be very useful from a how-to standpoint, like I mentioned. So this is a great chance for landscapers or handyman services, home services, to be able to utilize and become thought leaders in a new space. So I need to do landscaping at my house. Well, I'm not exactly a visual person, nor am I a landscaper. So I know what I like, but I can't describe it. Well, Pinterest is what a great opportunity to go and look for some cool landscape designs. Mm-hmm. Now, there might be some things there. I see it. I can do it. Awesome. Well, you've provided some value to me, but I know that your business, and I recognize your logo, you're local. Excellent. Well, I can only go so far, because again, maybe I'm not a landscaper, or maybe I realize I've bit off more than I can chew. Well, I saw the picture that you had posted on Pinterest. You provided value to me. This is kind of what I'm looking for. And you obviously have an idea of what my style is. So, well, I'm going to reach back out to you. And now you've not only provided value to a consumer, but you've married them to your brand. This person's a brand ambassador now. They came back to you, they filled out the form, they contacted you in one way or the other, they became a customer, and now you've provided a great opportunity for them to be able to share this across their own social media platforms. You've created a brand ambassador who's a 24-hour salesperson for you. So Pinterest has incredible opportunity for different businesses to be able to utilize their images and their knowledge and create brand ambassadors.
Great information. And I think you hit every single one of our tips here, right? So the platform, if you're millennial focused and they're an ideal consumer for you, this is a platform you need to jump on. Guides, how-tos, infographics, all of those are going to be able to create engagement and even show you, kind of like LinkedIn, as a thought leader in the space. And it's also a place to inspire, right? You can inspire people. I've seen just lots of kind of wood palette, right, ideas and different things. So you can inspire, you can try new things. I think it's an interesting platform that puts something out there that you think is really cool, and it could take off. But if it doesn't, that's okay, right? No one's really going to judge you on Pinterest because of your style and what you're trying to just put out there. You have so many different opportunities for them to say, yep, that works for me, or nope, I'm going to pass on that one, right? So get information out there, make sure it's professional imagery. I think that's our last tip, right? Make sure it is professional imagery. It has to catch their eye. You have to be able to explain what you're trying to accomplish or what you're doing by that image, or even utilizing text on it. And then utilize those links to your websites and make sure that you can retarget to consumers. So I think all those are great points there for Pinterest. I really believe that's an underutilized platform similar to LinkedIn. So jump on that. And then the last one here, we're going to round it off with, Brandon, is Twitter. Twitter.
Actually, to jump in about Pinterest real quick, one thing to remind some people is that when you talk about professional imagery, that's not saying that you always have to hire a photographer to come out and take super professional pictures. Now, there's value there, absolutely, but don't let that hold you back, and don't let that keep you from attempting to get on a social media platform simply because you don't feel like you've got the greatest pictures. Now, they have to be eye-catching. They can't be taken with a really old camera. They've still got to look pretty good, but you don't have to hire a photographer to come out and take these pictures, right? You know, everybody's got almost everyone's got a cell phone. Cell phones take just fine pictures. You can absolutely get on Pinterest or Instagram and still have great value there without needing to go out and spend a lot of money on a photographer. So don't let that hold you back. I wanted to make sure we covered that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You know, we talked about it before, even creating that video content, right? Your cell phone's going to be enough. Just make sure you maybe open some windows, get some natural lighting in there. But utilize what you have first. Jumping over, so we'll jump into Twitter now. You know, it's really looked at as a content first platform, right? So what value is your content going to bring to me, and why do I need to stop my thumb scrolling on this video, or, you know, on this quote or on this link? So really make sure that Twitter first, you need to think about, is this content truly bringing value to my consumers? Articles, images, quotes, even quick explainer videos, as we talked about for Facebook, are great on Twitter. And then I think an interesting thing, there's, with over 330 million active users, the average follow rate is over 700, right? So the reason that it's so important that you have that thumb stopping imagery or that great content is because you are vying for space, right? Every single time they scroll their thumb, there is new information, there's new content in front of them, new images. So make it stand out, and make sure if you do stop their thumb, it's going to be valuable to them. If it's not, more than likely the next time they see your little, you know, image go by, they're going to just pass it, right? That wasn't interesting to them. It didn't bring them value. So I think that Twitter is one of those content first platforms. So a couple tips as we jump in: share that relevant content, sharing strategies, and even what's happening in your area. Those are really good posts to get people to stop. And then Twitter followers really want to see up to that second updates, right? So whether it's topics or trending ideas, that's what Twitter is really known for. So if something's happening and you're going to be able to create content for it quickly, Twitter is a great place to put it out there, right? Try to create a network of like-minded tweeters and sharers. Twitter is one of those platforms that they really do have groups. So try and follow a lot of other tweeters, right, that are sharing the same content as you. That's going to help you build your following. Watched a video the other day talking about Twitter, and they said, hey, how do I grow my Twitter following? And one of the tips was the guy said, is follow them. Rarely is anybody going to go out of their way to follow somebody who's not following them first. So take the time. If you think that their information is engaging and relevant to you, follow them, and more than likely you're going to get a follow back. And last tip here that I put on myself: if it's yesterday's news, really no one's going to care about it, right? If it was breaking and everybody already jumped on the bandwagon and you're late to the party, forget about it. Don't post that. But still putting relevant information out there for your consumers to digest on Twitter is going to be perfect. Curious, Brandon, from the marketing executive perspective, right, from our businesses, how is Twitter best utilized, right? How do you get that content out there and get that engagement for small businesses?
Twitter at its core has always been about showcasing and sharing information as it's happening. So Twitter's kind of a unique platform. And to be honest, it's one of my first loves for social media because it's so different. And Twitter has gone through so many different metamorphoses and learning experiences about itself that it's always changing. But at its core, it's always been about information right now. You're a megaphone, and in the beginning, it can kind of feel like shouting in an echo chamber. No one's around, no one's listening. But if you're providing high quality content and you're providing it quickly, that's where you start to see this value. Twitter, more than anything, is about piercing the corporate curtain. If you can get behind that veil and show the human side of your business, that's where you start to see a lot of value. And Twitter is one of those platforms where you almost can't post too much. Instagram, if you post more than once a day, you're probably pretty spammy. Facebook, you post more than a couple of times a day, 4 or 5 times a week, you might be getting a little overboard. Twitter, you really can't, because the information changes, and what was relevant and informative an hour ago is different now. So this is a live update kind of platform. This is the if you're a service guy and you're out, well, let's use the landscaper example again. You've got your phone, you turn it around. Oh, okay. So here's the beds going in, and here's the team working, and here's the flowers being planted. 15, 30, 40-second video, and you're done. And then now it's time for the next one. Well, now we're doing the hardscaping, and quick tip, when you're doing hardscaping, you want to make sure to use this material, not that material. Okay, signing off, moving on. Things like that provide value, and people follow those kinds of channels that help educate them, help edify their lives a little bit, and bring real value to what they're looking for.
Yeah. So I think that's really, a good idea and a good metric to just keep in mind for all social platforms, right? Is you need to bring good, fresh content, relevant content to your consumers for them to digest. You need to make sure that it's professional. No, it doesn't have to be, again, like Brandon said, a professional photographer every single time or a videographer going out there, but make sure it's clean, make sure it looks good. But try new things. Social platforms, once you know where your ideal consumer is, and hopefully you've learned a couple tips and tricks of the platforms, who's on those platforms, and maybe different ideas of how to utilize different platforms better, but really just try new things. Social media is one of those things that people are really resonating with people. Yes, they identify brands, but there's a big trend right now that people are identifying with brands through influencers and people they follow and are like-minded to them, right? So Brandon, I thought you were kind of on the topic of Pinterest when you said you created an influencer for your brand and a brand influencer. I think you can do that across every single social platform, right?
Absolutely.
Identify your consumers, understand the type of information they're going to be digesting, and just get good relevant info out there in front of them. So if you're following, at home while we're live here on YouTube, click that link in the comment section to get this full presentation that we have. We do have 5 reasons you need a strong social media presence. We covered that on another webinar, so check out that social media webinar. I think that's great. We're going to leave it here. Jump in, hit that link. Check out the 5 reasons why you need a strong social presence, or jump over to our last webinar. But Brandon, I think that does it for today. I really appreciate your time today. Small business owners, I hope you got a lot of great, valuable content out of it. We are going to be here next Wednesday, so please get ready. Next Wednesday, same time, same place. Looking forward to seeing you guys. Thank you very much, Brandon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Happy marketing.